Talmor, Shishin Marachi. Talmor is my home. My family have worked the land for generations. My gran says the island does not belong to us, but we belong to the island. And we must be ready, for a great evil is coming, and death follows with it.
Listen and subscribe to the latest season of Undertow, The Harrowing, a Storyglass production presented by Realm, available wherever you get your podcasts.
The thing that I fought tooth and nail to bring my son into is Dungeons and Dragons. That is the ultimate solution to parenthood.
I'm Alexis Ohanian. In my podcast, Business Dad, I'm hoping to open up the conversation about balancing careers and family. I talked to Rainn Wilson. I wanted to learn more about Rainn's advice to play D&D with your kids. Business Dad is available now, so be sure to listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello world, and welcome back to another episode of Thanks for Coming In. I'm your host, Jillian Clare. It has been a very long week for me, but we are here. We are ready to do this. It was my first time at the SAG-AFTRA convention as a elected delegate, which was really cool and really eye-opening. I did not know so much of the processes that our union goes through and the ways in which it conducts voting and ideas and all that kind of fun stuff. But as a person who is currently back in college studying political science, it was definitely very interesting for me. I felt like it was a whole weekend of just learning and being in something that's larger than just me complaining on Twitter. But it was really great. And I have this fantastic community of people that really supported me through, the election itself. And now I'm co-chair on a LA local committee. So everyone's been so supportive, and it's been so fantastic to see this side of our business and see the guts and the glory of it all. Today on the show, we have Emma Malouff. If you've been watching Impeachment, American Crime Story, well, you've seen her. She plays Sarah Paulson's daughter in the show, and it was just such a great joy to talk to her. She's just fabulous, and she lights up the room. So here is my conversation with Emma. And welcome to the show, Miss Emma Malouff.
Thank you so much for having me, Jillian.
How are you on this fine day?
I'm doing great. I brought out my sweater. It's finally like under 75 degrees in Los Angeles. So I'm very excited about that. I went to a coffee shop this morning, got a chai.
Wow.
It was delicious. Yeah,
Living your
I'm
best
fully
life.
In the fall. I'm fully in the fall mood right now.
I feel that. Yeah, I busted out my sweaters today too, and I was like, this is the day. I woke up, it's 50 degrees outside. Fantastic. Here we go.
I love it. It's so great.
So are you a fall person? Do you come from an area of the states where there is fall?
Yes. So, okay. I was originally born in Seattle, Washington. So you have the full 4 seasons over there, and fall there especially is just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
But when I was 10, my family and we moved to Austin, Texas.
Oh, wow.
And there, the weather's completely different. It's mostly humid and relatively hot, especially in the summer. But it definitely around this time of year it starts to cool down, and then you're just in this perfect like 70s, low 70s,
Love
maybe
that.
high 60s. It's gorgeous there in the fall, but it's mostly all cedar trees, so you don't get any color change, which is interesting.
Sad.
I know. But here in LA, we get a little bit of color change, right? You're in LA too. Are you in LA?
Yeah, I'm in LA as well. I
Yeah.
mean,
Okay.
it's like a little bit, right? Like you get that like week
Yeah.
in like
It's
the
just
end of November where
yeah.
it's like we got to change really quick and then it's just gone
We're
and that's it.
almost there. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. I love it.
Well, speaking of growing up in Texas, take me back to the
Yeah.
moment when you knew that you needed to be an entertainer. How old were you? When was that for you?
So my whole life, I have lived in a daydream. I mean, ever since I can remember, I would retreat into my imagination and just transport myself into magical worlds and play characters and film videos with my friends, make little films on my mom's iPad with iMovie. So I've always loved film and always had a passion for acting. But when I was going way back, when I was 3, my grandparents took me to go see Pacific Northwest Ballet's production of The Nutcracker.
Oh.
And I saw Clara, the young ballerina who played Clara, and I was just so awestricken. And you have there's the orchestra playing, and it's this magical story of a young girl who gets a nutcracker who then turns into a prince, and I was just like, that's what I want to be. That's what I want to do. I want to transport an audience into a magical world through dance. So I started my journey as an actress as a dancer. And when we
Oh.
moved to Austin, I danced with Ballet Austin.
Wow.
Incredible staff, faculty, made amazing friendships, got to perform in the Nutcracker. And so really,
Wow.
since I was 3, my goal was to be Clara in the Nutcracker. And with Ballet Austin, when I moved there, I was 10. So for a few years, I was some of the younger roles that they had in the Nutcracker. I was a bonbon, and I was a part of the T little group. And
Yeah.
then one year, I was cast as a party girl. And the party
Hmm.
girls are there during the party scene of the Nutcracker when Uncle Drosselmeyer comes in and brings the gifts, and it's the whole Christmas party scene. And so I designated myself as Claire's best friend, and I just made sure I was near her at all costs because I wanted the audience to see me and wanted to be able to just perform to my best ability. And so I was a party girl for 2 years, loved every second of it. Honestly, it just was so much fun, and I got to perform in live. We did Alice in Wonderland. There it is.
Oh,
Alice in Wonderland.
fun.
And that was really, really, really fun. I was a card in the
Oh,
Queen's court
cool.
and the key. So you know how in the film and the
Oh,
story there's like the key, she uses the key to
yeah.
open the door. So I played the key, and I was in this head to toe like spandex type white outfit that covered my
Amazing.
head, and it was this giant like key. It was great. Um and then I one day got a call from a friend, and she was like, "Hey, so it was one of my mom's friends.
Mm.
I went to high school with this lady, and she's now a manager in Los Angeles, and she found you on Instagram through my social media." This is her talking.
Right.
And she said, she's like, "I don't rep kids, but I would love to get to know her. Could you make the introduction for me?"
Wow.
So our mutual friend, we got connected. I was 14 at the time, and we had a FaceTime call, and she's like, "Why don't you just come out to LA and see?" Because in my heart, I knew that I eventually wanted to pursue acting.
Yeah.
And I was in this tricky spot where either I would have to go full-time dance because,
Mhm.
it was the time where you usually leave your home and go dance with a company,
Yeah.
um, or I was gonna pursue acting. So we were like, "Okay, we'll give it 2 months. We'll go for pilot season." So I came out to LA. I was 14. I turned 15, um, a month after we arrived. And I came out here with my grandparents, my Mimi and Poppy, and we
Aw.
lived in an Airbnb in Marina del Rey.
So cute.
for 2 months for pilot season, and we were there, and we had the best time. I went on a bunch of auditions, um, and the time our 2 months came up for our Airbnb, and we all just felt this sense of, like, this is it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to leave. Like, this is what I think I was meant to do.
Mm.
And so it was the hardest decision of my life, but I quit dance and I
Wow.
gave up. I had to I had to give up my dream of being Clara in the Nutcracker.
Oh no, you
And
never got to be her?
yeah, I never got to be her. But it's okay because honestly, at the end of the day, I know that, like, this is going to be worth it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it was a because I don't like to give up on my goals, and especially when that was something that I've been working towards my whole life. That was just it took a lot of time to process that and let go of that dream and be like,
Mm.
okay, I feel like this is where the Lord has called me, and I'm gonna step into it, full steam ahead.
Yeah.
And I never left. And we're here in LA pursuing this, and just one
Wow.
thing led to another, and audition after audition, and here we are, which is just
That's
crazy.
That's amazing. And that's how most people come to LA. And I feel like that
Yeah.
is almost ending at a certain point,
Mhm.
probably soon,
Mhm.
because now you have all the streaming sites where it's like
Right.
they don't follow pilot
Totally.
season. They don't care that
No.
it's February. Like
Yeah, exactly.
they don't
Yeah,
care.
totally.
So I feel like
Right.
it's like a whole new world that's happening in auditions. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously since the pandemic hit, we've experienced a whole new world with auditioning. But
Yeah.
timing now, it's like there is no specific time to be in LA anymore. You just got to commit to
Right.
being here full
You gotta
time
just go
because
for it.
yeah,
Mhm.
there's no like here's 3 months, I'm gonna give it 3 months and I'm
Right.
gonna leave. Now it's like
Right. No.
nonstop.
Yeah, and that's been interesting. So I just turned 18. Well, I turned 18 back in March. Um, and I moved out, and my grandparents moved to Austin to be with my mom and dad and my brother and my
Wow.
family out there. And I moved in with roommates because it just, I'm so thankful for my grandparents, and they sacrificed so much for me, but it was kind of this we all felt it like, okay, it's the next step,
Yeah.
towards me growing up and taking charge of my career and my life. And I moved into my new apartment a week before I had to fly to Texas to film another show,
Oh wow.
and I just got back a week ago. So I've officially been like on my own trying to figure out life for like 2 weeks.
Hey,
And it's
that's
going great.
great.
Yeah, it's going great, but just kind of back to what you said, like, now I'm really starting to learn how to make Los Angeles my home
Yeah.
and make it my stomping ground and a place where, I make life happen. If
Mhm.
that makes any sense.
No, it does, and it always feels LA is a bit more daunting to me than New
Yeah.
York, because New York, at
Yeah,
least,
totally.
everything's connected, everything's
Yes.
intertwined, you can go on a
Yeah.
walk, you can get what you need. Here, it's like,
Mhm.
no, you have to
You
have a
have
car, it's gonna take you 45 minutes to get
Yes,
to the
45
grocery
minutes to
store,
get
like
anywhere.
yeah. So
Yeah,
it's definitely
totally.
feel like a little more I mean, they're completely different beasts, but LA
Yeah,
is so difficult to understand on your own when we don't have,
yeah,
like, regular infrastructure systems that we need
yeah,
to be able to,
totally.
live
Build
life.
community too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
build
and
community.
yeah, exactly.
There's not a real sense of community in LA, and you really have to
Mhm,
create that for yourself through
mhm,
classes and all the things that you can
mhm.
do personally.
Yeah,
Um so tell me, you got out here when you were 15. What
mhm.
did you do for school? Because I was homeschooled as a kid when I was an actor.
Yeah, yeah, I did online school.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I did. I was still with, a school that I was with back in Austin. So I
Okay.
just finished up there and for the year that I came out here. Um, and then I switched over to a online charter school
Hmm.
here in, California. And then I took the CHESP.
As we
which
all
is the
do.
California High School Proficiency Exam.
Yes.
Yep. I took that. And so, okay, I don't do well under pressured time. If
Okay.
I'm allowed to like take as much sweet time as I need to, I'll do great. But
Yeah.
when it's like pressured time, especially with the chess bee, you know, math is not my strong suit, and so
Oh,
I
did you
studied
fail
really hard.
math?
No, so here's the crazy thing is
I
I got
failed
this
math the
chess
first
bee
time,
guide.
so
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I had to retake it because the
yes.
first I bought this like really I bought this the most reviewed like chess piece study guide book,
Yeah.
and we were going into super hard calculus problems
Yeah.
in that study guide book. And then I went to go take the chess piece, and it was so basic that it completely threw me off, and I like froze on
Yeah.
just the most easy questions about integers, and I was like, I don't know. I was practicing calculus, like and so I froze and I didn't finish the math portion in time. I passed the English, but I didn't finish the math, and I was so bummed because if I probably would have spent like the last 5 minutes just filling in random bubbles,
Yeah.
I was so close to being done that I probably would have passed. So I had to go back and I had to take the math portion, and I got a tutor, and it was great. So
That's
we're here. We
literally
passed. We did it.
I mean, I was very much the same. I took it,
Yeah.
passed the English with flying colors. I feel like people
Yeah.
who are in the arts are just better at English than they
Super
are
great.
math. Like
Yeah, totally.
let's be real.
Yeah, I know it's
Um,
true.
but I failed the math part by like 2 points. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
That was yes, and that
It's
was
the
me.
worst. It's
It
the
was the
worst.
worst feeling.
And then I
Yeah.
made my friend who was very good at math tutor me for like a month
Yeah.
beforehand. And I was like, I am not
that's
leaving until I know everything. And I couldn't tell you anything anymore. Could not tell you the
Exactly.
first thing about math.
No, yeah. No, oh, me too. And that was exactly what I did. One of my best friends here, she's a whiz at math. And
Yeah.
I was like, you're just going to help me. Thank you so much, because I can't do this without you. And we sat down every day for like 4 hours and just
Yeah. That's what you
knocked
gotta
it
do.
out. Yeah.
So, talking about school a little bit, are you considering college, or are you do you think you want to do it like on the side or stop acting?
Yeah.
I know a lot of the kids that I've directed and been around recently, it's like a clear line. Like some people either just say, I'm putting acting on pause for 4 years, I'm going to go do this, or some try to juggle.
Yeah. Well, I took a gap year because I took the chess P, and which allowed me to graduate a year early.
Right.
And then the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
So essentially I just took a year. I went back home to Austin and lived with my parents again and my brother, and kind of just got to experience a little bit of normal life without school, and that was really nice. But then quite honestly, towards the end, I got super bored, and I was like, I need structure, because I definitely thrive and do a lot better with structure. And like having a set schedule every day. And so I enrolled with ACC, which is Austin Community College. And I was like, well, I think I'll just start taking a couple courses, and maybe I then can transfer to a school out here in California, or, I live right over by UCLA. So I'm like, maybe I'll go to UCLA. You never know.
Right.
But I definitely, I've been taking classes with Austin Community College, and I've really been enjoying it. Unfortunately, I couldn't enroll in any classes this semester because I was out in Texas filming a project, and there was no service anywhere. I was out in the country. Like it just, and it just, there were night shoots. So it kind of got a little bit complicated, and I knew I just didn't have peace about moving forward with school, for this semester. So next semester I'll be starting it up again, hopefully. But
I mean, it's very difficult to juggle that. I tried to juggle it when I was your age, and I was like, oh, this is not feasible. I can't do this right now. I'm actually back in college right now.
Nice.
That's a full-on
awesome.
adult. But
that's amazing.
It's difficult to find something that works with your schedule because a lot of
Mhm.
people, don't understand how absolutely tiring the film and television
Yeah.
industry is. You're on set
Yeah.
for 12 hours a day. You
Yeah.
it's nonstop. And then as an
Mhm.
actor, I mean, obviously the crew members have a lot that they deal with. And then as
Yeah.
actors, it's like, yeah, there's times that you're sitting around not doing anything for a couple of
Mhm.
hours, but then you have to
Yeah.
go and act, and maybe it's a really emotionally tolling
Scene. Yeah.
scene. And you get home and you're
Mhm.
just like, okay, I've spent 12 hours on set. I'm exhausted. You can't
Yeah.
focus on school
No,
and
on
everything else
something.
you need to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
So it's difficult.
You can shop from anywhere doing pretty much anything. You might shop while working, eating, or even listening to this podcast. And however you shop, we all know and love the thrill of the hunt. But do you also know how to get the thrill of the best deals? Because Rakuten shoppers do. With Rakuten, they get the deals they love with the most savings and cash back. And you can get it too. Start getting cash back at your favorite stores like Sephora, Nike, and even Expedia if you're looking to get some travel in. And getting cash back doesn't mean you have to miss out on sales because those can just be stacked right on top. It's easy to use and based on a simple idea. Stores pay Rakuten for sending them shoppers, and Rakuten shares the money with you as cash back through PayPal or check. Download the free Rakuten app and never miss a deal. Or go to Rakuten.com to start getting the most bang for your buck. That's Rakuten. As a podcast network, our first priority has always been audio and the stories we're able to share with you. But we also sell merch, and organizing that was made both possible and easy with Shopify. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell and grow at every stage of your business, from the launch your online shop stage all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell everywhere. They have an all-in-one e-commerce platform and in-person POS system, so wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. With the internet's best converting checkout, 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms, Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers. Shopify has allowed us to share something tangible with the podcast community we've built here, selling our beanies, sweatshirts, and mugs to fans of our shows without taking up too much time from all the other work we do to bring you even more great content. And it's not just us. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the US. Shopify is also the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Because businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/REALM now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/realm.
And that's why you see a bunch of actors who take that 4-year gap to just
Yeah.
accomplish it. And my
Yep.
hat really goes off to them and those who do both because it's really hard.
It's really hard.
It's really hard. It's really difficult. Yeah.
Well, getting to the big show that's on right now, Impeachment, American Crime
Yeah.
Story. Tell me everything. Tell me how the audition process was, what it was like on set working with Sarah. Tell me
Mhm.
everything.
It was a whole journey, that audition process. So I auditioned for the role back in February 2020. Um, and I had the first audition, went great. A week later, I had a callback, a producer session, and so I got to go to the Fox lot
Mm.
and up into their offices, and I walked in, and there was just a whole wall of Emmys, and I was like, "I have entered into a different this is a whole other realm that I've entered into." I'm like, "This is crazy. This is so cool." And, and it's also just I love film and I love everything to do with it, and so getting to go on a lot is just there's something so magical about it every
Yeah.
time, And so I was super excited about it. And that was my first time on the Fox lot too. So it just, the whole combination of it was just super exciting. And I sat down in the waiting room and I was sitting right across from Colin Hanks, who
Oh,
plays
wow.
Mike Emick. And I
Yeah.
was like, wait, he looks so familiar. And I had to go like look it up because I was like, I know him. I feel like I know him. And sure enough, it was awesome. And so the producer session, it went great. Felt like I made a great connection with them. And then they called me, casting called me and they said, okay, well, I guess emailed, but you're on hold for the project. So please make
Wow.
sure that you're in Los Angeles. Production should be starting end of the month. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. So I was here for a week, just felt like a sitting duck. I was so just nervous and excited and anxious about, oh my gosh, like, will I get it? And then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, COVID came and the industry pretty much virtually shut down. And so I waited until April and I had some conversations with my manager and my parents, and we all just kind of agreed, okay, if things are going to pick back up, they're not going to be in person. So
Right.
it'll either be on Zoom or via self-tape. So I ended up going back. And also we just weren't sure with travel restrictions. And so we made the decision, and my mom came and picked me up and drove me back to Texas.
Oh,
And I was there for about 8 months.
wow.
And in October, okay, so then fast forward, hadn't heard anything.
Yeah.
Was with my family, had time with my family that I hadn't had in the last 2 years. And so that was really special and beautiful and so memorable. And my parents are pastors, actually.
Aw.
That's why we moved to Austin, was to start a church. And so over the course of the pandemic, we joined with another church. We had been there for 7 years and we were Expression Church, and there was this other church in the city, Reach Church, and my dad and the pastor at Reach were great friends, and we're like, you know what, this is a time to innovate and to really think outside of the box and ask the Lord, like, what can we do in this time? And they were just like, you know what, we're better together. Let's do this. So Reach closed their doors, Expression Church closed their doors, and we came together as City Reach Church.
Wow.
And so it all happened over the course of the time that I was home. So all over again, I got to be a part of seeing, our church built again from the ground up, because it happened when we moved out there 8 years ago, and then it happened again while I was home. And so my roots just were really connected back home again. And then in October, I got a call from casting, and they were like, hey, so remember this project, American Crime Story? Do you mind sending in a couple tapes? And I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, great, sure. So sent in a couple tapes, had a Zoom audition, and then maybe a week went by, and I got a call from my manager, and she was like, so they want to put you on hold again for the project, and they're asking that you be in LA.
Oof.
And so in a span of 6 hours, I packed a bag. My phone stopped working. So I went to the AT&T store, had to get a new phone, hopped on a flight, was back in LA, all in 6 hours. And it was probably the most difficult 3 weeks of my life, because I had been so plugged back at home with my community, my friends, my family. And it really made me question, am I doing, like, is this right, what I'm doing? I don't even know if this is fun anymore. Like, it was great. I love it. But like, do I want to sacrifice being with my family again? And, just really asking myself and God the hard questions of like, are you sure? Is this really it?
Right.
And and then I remember one night I cried myself to sleep very dramatically.
Oh.
And I just was like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And I woke up and I was like, okay, today's a new day. Like, this is going to be great. And my dad called me crying and he was like, I just miss you so much. And I was like, this is not helping.
Dad.
This isn't helping, Dad. I love you. I miss you. And I just remember I asked the Lord, I was like, okay, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And faith is a big part of my life.
Yeah.
And Jesus is my best friend. And I'd talk to him about everything, just like he was, right there. And I was like, I don't know. And 10 minutes later, I said, okay, I trust you, whatever you want to do, I'll do it. And 10 minutes later, I got the call from my manager and I
Wow.
booked it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I mean, and yet again, just cried all over again. And it was amazing. And I just was so renewed and refreshed and was like, okay, nope, this is what I'm supposed to do. I am
amazing.
supposed to be here. And I love acting and I don't want to give it up. And so, yeah.
Wow.
And then filming started in January. And so I booked it in November. So it was from February
That's such a long
2020
process.
all the way to November. So it was just a roller coaster, really.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
so long to wait. I know the pandemic really, I mean,
Long.
obviously we shut down for a while and there's
Yeah.
so many stories like that where it's like everyone was up for these roles and everything was like gonna happen and then everything
Yeah.
shut down and it's like, wait, now what?
Yeah.
But that's amazing.
Seriously.
So what was
Yeah.
it like to play Sarah Paulson's daughter? Because Sarah Paulson to me is one of the
The
best
legend herself.
actresses. Well, and
Yes.
her career in itself is something really to aspire to because she's worked her whole life, but she really didn't find that like that stardom
That
success
spot. Yeah.
until her like
Mhm.
late 30s, I think it was, or
Mhm.
mid 30s, late
Mhm.
30s. And I think
Yeah.
that's really special because it allowed her to really like perfect her craft before the
Yeah.
world knew her.
Yes. And that is so admirable. And she's worked so hard. And that is, I mean, like you said, that is it just so I want to aspire to be that.
Mm-hmm.
And working with her, she's also producing the show as well. She's one of the
Wow.
producers. And so she was on top of everything. Like it was so cool to witness because I also want to be a producer. That's been a dream of mine probably for the last 5 years. In addition to acting, which is also why I'm going to school. Because I want to have a production company and be a producer and get to call the shots and be a part of, making stories that need to be told happen.
Right.
And so it was amazing to watch her, just how her attention to detail in every part of the scene. She was on top of the script. She has so many lines. I mean, it was crazy, and she just knew them and came prepared for everything and had an eye for everything. And I mean, it was a masterclass in everything, not just acting, but in how to, work a set and be paying such close attention to every detail of the story. And it was incredible. It was really incredible.
That's amazing. I adore her so much. I think she's so freaking good. I love her.
and it just everything that she did was just so just juicy, and I wanted to pull everything that I possibly could from watching her. And what was so cool now is, okay, so I saw her do all of her beautiful work in person and all of the idiosyncrasies that she gave to Linda now translated on screen. And so watching it back and just seeing how well it looks and how good it looks, it's so cool.
She's a master. She really is.
She is. Oh, yeah, totally.
So on the show, we like to share audition stories, either ones that have gone awry, funny happenings, ones that got
Yeah.
away. Is there a story or stories that you would like to share with the listeners?
I have so many. I have endless. It's really hard for me to pick just one, but I I have a good one. So,
Okay.
it was when I first moved here, learning how a lot of casting directors, are in a room, and sometimes they're either just super blunt, sometimes, they'll feel a little bit it'll be a little bit more interested,
Mm-hmm.
but, especially for those first calls, they're just going through so many people, and, so they're just doing their job, and I really appreciate them, but, you never know how they might be in person. And so I had a couple experiences with some casting directors that just were, a little bit. I didn't it didn't feel like I made a personal connection with them.
Yeah.
And especially I was just starting out, so I was very green
Mm-hmm.
and didn't know a lot, didn't know about how to control my nerves in a room, and I think that really there was this I had to please, you know what I
Mm.
mean? And which really at the end of the day kind of does you a disservice because you don't have to please anyone. Just show up, be yourself, and it's almost this, listen, I got what you need, and if you want it, great. If you don't, all right, that's great. I'll move, like,
Yep.
I'll go do something else. Like, awesome. And so I had a couple experiences where I just was trying too hard, and the casting directors just were feeling that. And so I didn't feel like I made a connection. And so I went into this one audition, and from the get-go, the casting director was just so nice to me.
Mm.
And it was like, "Oh my gosh, wow, this like, you really feel invested in what I'm doing, thank you." And it was for this little short film, and it was the weird so I grew up in church my whole life, just backstory. So, greeting people and making people feel comfortable is just something that I've done my whole life, working in the lobby, opening up doors for everybody, like, "Hey, welcome to church. My name's Emma. So nice to meet you. Like, what's your name? How are you today? Let me introduce you to this person over here." Like, there's just, I'm just excited to see people.
Mm-hmm.
And so as she's like just being so nice to me, it was like all of a sudden this church side of me came out, and we were saying goodbye, and I completely forgot her name, but for some reason in my brain it felt like it was the right time to ask her what her name was, which you just don't do. Like, that's a casting director. You don't ask them for their name. And I went up and I hugged her, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much, and remind me of your name again." And she just froze and just stared at me and was like, uh, 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 and she like told me her name, and I walked out of there just so embarrassed. Like, I cannot believe I just hugged the casting director and asked her to remind me of her name. And it just was, but like, at the end of the day, those are the fun things that you can look back on and laugh at.
Yep.
And, because, like, nobody's perfect. We're all just out here trying to figure it out. And I learned a lot from it. I learned, note to self, always remember the casting director's
Yes.
name and don't ask
Always.
them for their name.
Never.
And don't hug them unless
Don't do that.
they come up and hug you. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. It was a whole mixture of things.
Oh,
And so that
Lord.
was one of my most memorable ones. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
It
Remind me of your name again.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. And remind me of your name again. It was
Oh,
so
wow.
cringy. Yeah, it was bad. It was really
That's
bad.
cringe central. Like,
I know.
that's tough to hear.
Yeah. I didn't get a call back for that.
No.
Let's just say
No.
that much. I didn't get a call
I
back.
would not expect that to happen.
No.
But hey, going back
But
to what you were saying earlier, though, about how, like, every casting directing office is different and
yeah,
moods are different
everyone's
and the way
different.
they work is different. I
Mhm.
mean, Something that I always tell young actors to do is to create a Google Sheet, now that we have those, and write those notes down. If you make a special connection with somebody, write that note down so that you know next time you go in, oh, I made this connection with them, and that should be what I lead with. Because it really is a job interview. You know, I feel like auditions, you start to think of them as like, I need to prove myself. I need to prove that I'm good. I need to prove that I'm here to do this. Whereas really it's like, no, let me just put my time into this, do my work, figure out my character, do my backstory, go in, do my interview, and leave. And that's what it should be.
And that's the big journey that I came on. And have been on still. You know,
it takes a long time. I still struggle with it every once in a while.
It's not easy. Like auditioning is not, it's not easy because it can be intimidating. And so it's finding that balance of being like, no, okay, hold on. Remember, I love acting. Like, I love this.
PSA, I like doing this.
PSA, I like to do this. So I'm going to do it, and I'm going to create the character. I'm going to find what I think makes this person relatable, find the humanity, figure out, you know, if there's speech involved, if it's a different time period. Like, that's just why I love it, because you get to live a completely different life. You get to transport yourself and use your imagination and daydream and live in a completely different time period, world, century, space, whatever it might be. Like, it's the coolest thing. And so it's just being like, okay, this is what I prepared. This is what I did. I'm going to go in there. I don't have to please anybody. All I have to please is
yourself,
not even myself,
really.
Because sometimes, but sometimes, you know, we're not always satisfied with it. So
sometimes you leave and you're like, well, that sucked. Moving on.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. It's like, I did it, and now we just are going to forget about it. And if something happens, fantastic. And if it doesn't, you know what? I'm not going to be discouraged, because then, like, that just wasn't the door for me to walk through.
Exactly.
You know?
Well, it's been a pleasure to talk to you, and I'm so excited to see
Thank you so much.
what you do next. How can people follow you on social media so that they can keep up with everything?
Yeah, I am on Instagram. It's just my name, Emma Malouff. I have a TikTok. I don't really use it. So you can follow me on there, but you're not going to see too much content. But definitely Instagram. Instagram is the place to go. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Emma, for sharing this time with me.
Thank you so much.
And
yeah, I really appreciate
excited.
it. Thank you. I love your podcast. Like, really, I just so enjoy listening to you, and it was an honor to come on here. So, really, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Have a beautiful day. I can't wait to see you in whatever you star in next.
Yes, thank you so much. Awesome.
Thanks again to Emma for coming on the show. Make sure to subscribe to the show wherever you're listening to it right now. Leave us some love, some reviews, some ratings, some stars, whatever it is that you're seeing on that side of the screen. And tune in next week. I have a great guest, as usual. Bo Yoakley is going to be on. And until then, thanks for coming in.
Hi, I'm Alexis Ohanian. You may know me as one of the co-founders of Reddit, but more recently, a large part of my identity is being a father to my two wonderful daughters. In my podcast, Business Dad, I'm hoping to open up the conversation about balancing careers and family. The one thing I constantly hear successful people say, without fail, is that they wish they'd spent more time with their kids. That's time no one can get back. So I decided to create Business Dad, to engage in the conversation about how we're spending our time now, providing a forum for successful dads to share their joys and challenges of being a working parent. You'll get to hear from a wide range of business dads, from Rainn Wilson and Guy Raz to Todd Carmichael and Shane Battier. And while this podcast will talk about business and will definitely be featuring dads, I think everyone can learn something from these incredible conversations as we unpack the expectations we all have about careers, relationships, and ourselves. Business Dad is available now, so be sure to listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.